Hello, beloved soul seekers. Welcome, welcome to the Youest You. This is Julie. I am, as always, honored to have you here. And let me tell you, you are in for such a delicious conversation. You are in for such a treat today. Very, very, very honored and grateful to have an incredible guest, Rha Goddess. I'm going to tell you all about Rha and make some time to listen. If you're driving, do not take notes. We'll have everything in the show notes and just sit back and enjoy. This is going to be so enlightening and so incredible. So let me tell you about Rha. Rha Goddess is the entrepreneurial soul coach behind hundreds of breakthrough changemakers, cultural visionaries, and social entrepreneurs. From multiple New York Times bestsellers to multi-million-dollar social enterprises, Rha's unique methodology has empowered a new generation of conscious entrepreneurs to stay true, get paid, and do good. I love that. From the onset of her more than 30-year career as a cultural innovator, social impact strategist, and creative change agent, Rha has drawn on the power of creativity, culture, and community to move hearts, minds, and policy. Rha's work has focused on issues of racial justice and equality, electoral politics, offender aid and restoration, mental health and youth and women's empowerment, and contributed to initiatives that have impacted millions of lives. Her work has been featured in Time Magazine, Miss Magazine, Variety, Essence, The Source, Redbook, Forbes, Fast Company, and the Chicago Tribune, among others. In 2014, Rha was chosen as a top 10 game changer by Muses and Visionaries magazine. In 2017, Rha was chosen as one of 50 founders to watch by Essence magazine. Additional awards and honors include Meet the Composer, the NPN Creative Fund, a semi-finalist for Do Something's Brick Award, and a two-time semi-finalist for Leadership for a Changing World, nominated by Eve Ensler. As a sought-after speaker, Rha has led the conversation around a whole self approach to entrepreneurship as a key to a more just, harmonious, and sustainable economy and culture. She has presented at SOCAP, Pioneers, SVN, Women's Donors Network, High Performance Academy, Equity Now, Netroots Nation, TEDx Broad Street, Emerging Women, Women in Power, the She Summit, and so much more. And as the CEO of Move the Crowd, Rha is galvanizing a movement of 3 million entrepreneurs dedicated to reimagining work as a vehicle for creative expression, financial freedom, and societal transformation. Rha's upcoming book, The Calling, leverages her unique methodology into a step-by-step blueprint for finding your purpose and making your most profitable contribution. And you can find out so much more at movethecrowd.me. All right, without further ado, Rha, it is such an honor to have you here today. I'm so thankful to have you with us.
Thank you, Julie, so much for having me. It's my joy, really my joy.
Well, let me just say this, because as I'm reading through and I've done my research on you, and you're a total package of like badassery, light, love. Like, I think of like you're a messenger. I mean, you've got so much to you. And I think those listening, sometimes it can be a little like, wow, that's great for her. Like, how can I do something? How can I be like that? And I think what might be helpful is, I know that you probably didn't start there, wherever 30, 40 years ago. I don't know, you don't look that much older than
Yes,
30
so sweet.
years. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about your growth journey and, how you've moved into what that's looked like, your journey moving into where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, it is a journey. It is just that, a journey. And I think for all of you beloveds who are listening, first of all, I'm sending you so much love wherever you are. I think that sometimes we have this impression that people wake up arrived.
Yeah.
But the truth is, for anyone who has a commitment to living their life and living their life and defining success on their own terms, that it is a journey. It is a journey. And for me, I humbly describe myself as a reluctant leader. You know, I came to my purpose and my calling kicking and screaming.
Mm.
You know, I was like, "Ooh, I'm not me. I'm not enough." You know, all of the conversations we have, you know, and I know we'll get into that a little bit more about just kind of what often can stand in the way of us and what we know we're here to do, or what we know we're here to bring in our heart of hearts. Whether we can give the perfect words to it, whether we think we have the perfect plan for it, whether we even know what to do once we sort of discover what it is. Um, you know, I think that it takes a lot sometimes to just be us,
Yeah.
and yet it is the most natural thing in the world, and it is the most important thing in the world. And so for me, you know, I spent many, many years working in the not-for-profit world. I sort of grew up as an organizer. My parents very passionate about social justice and civil rights, and I came in through that journey and through their own awakening and their own activism. And so I was rooted in that, as well as coming up during a time when hip hop was coming of age. And so, you know, I always joke that I was sort of birthed in this intersection of civil rights and hip hop, and both very much inform the way I operate and move in the world. But I've worked in, you know, the nonprofit sector. I've worked in the for-profit sector. I've been a struggling artist. Like, I've done a lot of different things, and all of, you know, when I look back on it now, all of those things have contributed to my purpose and to my ability to be able to help people find their calling and their purpose. But again, you know, it was a reluctant journey. And I think that I'm here to help those who are also kicking and screaming. Some of them running in the other direction, some of them just kind of paralyzed in fear, and some of them kind of going, one day, you know, I just need to make this much money, or I just need to have these things in place, and then it'll be my time,
Yeah.
you know, to do what I love, or then it'll be my time to pursue my purpose. And I'm here to tell you that your time is up,
Mm.
and that now is the time.
Mm.
And that your ability to access your gifts and your ability to leverage those gifts in a way that can be tremendously profitable and deeply impactful
Mm.
towards the vision of the kind of world we want to see
Yeah.
is now,
Mm.
is now.
So I'm with you 100% that now is the time. There's a lot of evidence in our world that we need that, like,
Yeah.
a lot of evidence. I'm thinking of many, if not most, that say, "Yep, now's the time." But a couple things, like you mentioned it, you know, the not feeling enough, feeling the doubts. Maybe we can address that first. Like,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
do we start?
So you know, you mentioned, and thank you for saying that. You mentioned, you know, my upcoming book, The Calling, which will be
Yeah.
out January 21st, 2020. So if you're listening to this after January 21st, it's out. Go get it. But but the thing about, for me, in writing the book, was having the opportunity to sit on the front lines and listen to literally tens of thousands of people,
Wow.
and to listen to the concerns. You know,
Wow.
I say that because, you know, often in the conversations with people who are in conversation with me, it's, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be, or this is what I want to see, or this is how I feel. And then here come all the concerns, right? And so there are three major concerns that often I see.
Yeah.
And literally the book is designed to speak to these three concerns. But the first concern, as you mentioned, is, who am I?
Yeah.
And it's everything to do with our ability to believe that we are worthy of whatever it is we want to have, or want to pursue, or want to experience in our lives, and in our purpose and in our work.
Mm.
Um, and so, you know, being able to look at what is it that we have accepted
Yeah.
about what we're capable of, or what we're not capable of, about what we deserve and what we don't deserve, and where those messages come from, and the way in which they shape the choices and the decisions that we make
Yeah.
about what is available to us or not available to us, is everything. It's everything. And so in the book, we deal with your relationship with you,
Mm.
because that is the beginning, middle, and end of everything, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I think often when we embark upon a goal, or when we embark upon a vision, we have no idea how much the quality of our relationship with ourselves actually impacts our ability to be effective
Mm,
in what it is that we're pursuing, be successful. When I speak of success, I'm not just talking about your ability to check the boxes. I'm talking about genuine happiness and genuine fulfillment.
yeah.
And I phrase it, Julie, because sometimes we do check the boxes like, oh, I got the big job, or I got the great salary, or I got the fabulous house or the fancy car.
Yeah.
But then when we come into the quiet moments with us and us, we're still not happy. We're still seeking. We're still searching. There's still a void,
Yeah.
right, that hasn't been filled. A sense of peace that we have not achieved. And so
Mhm.
um, we have to deal with us first,
Yeah.
and to be able to embrace all of who we are, all of where we've been, and all of what our own respective journey gives us
Yeah.
in terms of wisdom and experience and a capacity to be able to contribute, is the name of the game. The more we understand about who we are, and the more we understand about what we've been through, and the more we understand about what we're here to bring, the greater opportunity we have to make a contribution that feels completely aligned
Yeah.
with the truth of who we are and the truth of what it is that we're here to do. So
Beautiful.
that's the first concern we address and we deal with.
Yeah.
The second concern is, how am I going to pay my rent?
Yeah.
Right?
Very, very big.
How am I going to feed the family?
Yeah.
Right? And that is often the number one thing that stands in the way
Yeah.
of people pursuing their passion and their purpose,
Yep.
because they don't, from day one, from moment one, they may not be able to see a pathway to
Right.
financial profitability or financial compensation,
Right.
right? And so, we go there in the context of the book, and we really talk about your relationship with this notion of economy
Mm,
and what we've been trained to believe about money and us,
mm,
and what we think, again, in the context of our financial success, what is possible for us or not possible for us, or what we have to trade
yeah.
in order to be financially successful. And so much of um, the conversation of this book is, are you willing
Mm,
to believe that you don't have to trade in ways that are painful, in ways that are debilitating, in ways that cause you to sacrifice things that really are important, or cause you to do things that go against your core values and principles?
mm,
And all of us have had those various forms of negotiation,
yeah.
you know, whether that's happened earlier in our life or whether that's later in life. And it's interesting because I would say that there's a certain way that the justifications become very comfortable when
Mm,
we get older. Well, you
yes.
know, 10 years ago, maybe.
Yep.
Right. But now I got responsibilities. There's a sort of way that entrenchment can creep in
Yeah.
when we're not paying attention.
Yeah.
And we can very much fall asleep at the wheel of our lives.
Mm,
And nothing's bad per se, maybe, or nothing's wrong.
right.
Everything's all right.
Right.
And on some level, we believe that that may be the best that we can hope for.
Mm,
And I want to challenge that with every fiber of my being, for, in whatever way
yeah.
we've become resigned or
Mm,
apathetic about our lives and what's possible for us, or
yeah.
about the state of our world and what's possible for our world.
Mhm.
It's like I'm coming for all of that.
I love that. Oh, goodness.
Coming for all of that in this book.
Amazing. So we have the who am I, and then like the real, like, all right, so how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to,
Right. How am I going to make money?
how am I going
Right.
to make money? Exactly. I love it.
And I walk you through a process that really enables you to see, how does your passion line up with
Mm,
your proposition, right? Because this is all about what it is that we're here to offer.
yeah.
And when we really get clear about what it is that we're here to offer, and we learn how to
Yeah.
organize it
Yeah.
in ways that enable us to meet the people who we're most called to serve, then
Mm,
all of a sudden,
yeah.
profitability begins to line up, compensation begins to line up. And then the third concern, right? The third concern is, who am I to make a difference in the world? And can I really matter? Can my contribution really move the needle on the things that I believe are most important to me? So there's something that we've adopted and believed about the state of our world that tells us that there's no way that we can affect it
Yeah.
as one person. There's no way that we can affect it and still feed our families. There's no way that we can affect it and still be healthy and vibrant and have fun. And you know what I mean? It all feels so heavy and so ominous.
Yeah.
And our ability to be able to cut through that noise and really tap into what is the highest and best use of us, and how does that get expressed in a way that actually moves the things that we care about,
Yeah.
is the invitation in this third part of the book, right? As we address this concern. So who am I? Who, like little old me?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Right.
What business do I have wanting this?
Right. Right.
To, okay, that's all fabulous, but how are we gonna pay the rent?
Right. How do we do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
To, this world seems like it's going to hell in a handbasket with a big old bow on top.
Yeah.
What can I really do
Yeah.
that's going to make a difference? So we all know that at the heart of it, all any of us want to do is make a difference. We want to have a contribution that matters.
So beautiful. This is really, really powerful. And, part of the reason the whole concept behind being your Youest You is so in alignment with what you're talking about. This idea that actually each of us came with this. I think of it as like that divine blueprint or contract to
Yeah.
really show up fully, because I don't know, I don't want to get to the end and miss the light that I had here to shine. That's just that really, like, that's a driving factor every day for me. And I think people tuning in are starting to really wake up, like there's more, and there's more we can do and be. And I love these three concerns. And then I know you teach that process in your book. I'm curious. I have like so many questions. I'm going to manage myself here. I'm going to just, do you have any examples of people you've worked with? Maybe even some that we know, maybe we don't, where, we might see them like you today, they started with this, like, who the heck am I?
Yeah.
How am I going to pay my bill? Like, how am I going to do it? Especially
Yeah.
you've got debt or loans, and you went to college and you still owe money. I mean, these are real things.
Yes.
To, like, if you look at, if you watch anything on TV or look at social media, there's a lot of negativity going on in the world. I mean, I try not to focus on it, but there is.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
just examples of someone or people you've worked with and
Yeah.
how you've helped
Sure.
them.
Absolutely. And I do want to just say that there are like 40 examples of stories in the book, because to
Oh,
your
perfect.
to your point, Julie, like, it's like, okay, it's one thing to tell me, like, these are the 5 steps, but it's another thing to actually see them
Yeah.
on the concrete of
Yeah.
everyday people's lives. And one of the stories that comes to mind is, and it's shared in the book, and I should say it's a composite, because
Yeah.
there are people who come to me with similar challenges,
Yeah.
and their respective and collective stories provide a really powerful example of how this works. But in this particular case, the story that I want to share is one of, and we're going to call her Gianna,
Okay.
came to me in the process of getting divorced.
Mm.
2 small kids,
Been there.
um,
Hmm?
in a relationship where their partner was the major breadwinner,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an absolute point of contention.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this particular partner was incredibly successful. So it wasn't even necessarily a matter of this person needing Gianna's salary
Yeah.
to keep the house afloat,
Yeah.
but rather used the fact that they were the major breadwinner to assert power,
Yeah.
to leverage power, to, in essence, silence and minimize and dismiss her wants, needs, concerns, etc.
Mm.
And this particular beauty had a history of delivering service. She had a history in academia. She had worked in other organizations, had been
Yeah.
a really powerful contributor, and then got married and had kids and went through that transition that many, 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 women in particular, but not only women, are ending up in very, very different roles, but went through the transition of now stay-at-home parent,
Yeah.
servicing and holding the house together. And there was a way that that contribution was just not seen,
Mm,
not at the same level
yeah.
as her partner. And so after much deliberation and challenge and tension, decided to leave the marriage. And of course, the first thing that comes up is, how am I going to eat? How am I going to feed my babies? I don't have time for purpose. I don't have room for purpose.
Yes.
Um, and what we really discovered as we got in deeper into the conversation was that the contribution that Gianna was here to make was very, very clear.
Mm,
And that the question that was really at the core of where she was going to lean in, how she was going to lean in, is, was she willing to bet on her?
oh, I love that. I got chills.
Was she willing to bet on her? And she had had a history of watching the women in her family
Mm,
either stay in marriages where they remained small
yeah.
in terms of their voice and their expression and their sense of confidence or esteem, or they left
Right.
and had to struggle to survive, had to work jobs they didn't want to work, had to tolerate bosses they didn't want to tolerate, had to
Yeah.
do things that they did. So all she saw was compromise
Yeah.
all around her. And so we had to tap into that lineage and begin to understand how important an opportunity she had before her to
Mm,
actually heal and transform that lineage on behalf of the women in her family, to do it differently.
yeah.
And so our work together became, how do we architect the plan that enables her to create opportunities that were in absolute alignment
Mm,
with what it was that she wanted to create and what it was that she wanted to build. And she had a very clear vision for who she wanted to serve, for what she wanted to build in terms of her practice. So she wanted to do a combination of coaching and therapy and teaching, and sort of starting to figure out how those pieces of the pie came together. She began to look at the organizational relationships she had built for many, many years, and those relationships that she had maintained, even though she was no longer active in those organizations. And as she began to look, she started to realize, like, wow, I actually have a wealth of resources
mm,
and relationships that I'm not even tapping or taking advantage of because I haven't had anything that I've felt confident about pursuing.
yeah.
So our first job was to build the confidence.
Yeah.
Our second job was to strengthen the clarity. And by the way, that those two things go hand in hand. In other words, the more clear you get,
Yeah.
actually, the more confident and convicted you become.
Mm,
And her ability to raise her own voice, her ability to see herself, her ability to hear herself, her ability to acknowledge her own wisdom and strength and experience, and the fact that she had actually been cultivating this all of her life
right.
was so important for her to see. And then to begin to look at, like, well, what does the realm of opportunity actually look like? And where do I begin?
Right.
So we start to look at, what is low hanging fruit?
Right.
Is that about her opportunity to partner or join with another existing entity that gives her the room and the space to be able to build and grow a practice,
Right.
right? While she's building and strengthening her ability and her capacity to be able to step out on her own.
Mm,
Is it about creating spaces and opportunities for her to teach and present and lead so that more people can get exposure to what it is that she has to offer? And so, the knit grit of the plan became about starting to really look at what resources she had available to her to begin to start to determine what would be her first, second, and third step.
mm,
Right? But all of this was built on the foundation of clarity
yeah.
and confidence and conviction and a really clear sense of the difference she wanted to make, which became the central driver for
Yeah.
how she would evaluate the opportunities that would begin to come her way. And as she began to have conversations, of course, you know how this works. Once you make the decision and once you start to speak the vision,
Yeah.
you begin to magnetize.
Yes.
So all of a sudden in her inbox were becoming these interesting invitations to
Cool.
come to different kinds of events, to sit down and have a meeting with this one, to look at this potential program and being a guest teacher or facilitator or faculty member. And it just, piece by piece, step by step, the rubric and the plan began to come together. And she began to lean into, through practice, she began to lean into the potential of this new existence for her and for her beloveds.
Oh, it's beautiful. Wow. So I'm, there's many, I'm sure, listening that are like, I'm waiting, I'm like listening on bated breath, because what you're really saying, and I absolutely believe this confidence is really connected to your clarity, to getting clear. That is so important. I mean, I've experienced that myself, and I can attest that is 100% true. And then really, how are you seeing yourself? How are you going to see yourself, and what kind of difference do you want to make? And then I love what you said about once you get all of those, it's like making a cake, but if you forget, the baking soda or, vanilla or the eggs, like it's not going to magnetize, it's going to deflate. So you got to have all those ingredients so that then let the universe kind of take over and do its thing and magnetize.
And you're understanding what are those key ingredients, right? So, I teach and we believe in the work that we do at Move the Crowd that success is about alignment.
I love it.
About being trued up
Yeah.
to your vision, your mission, and your purpose.
Love
so once you get the clarity of who you are and what it is that you want to be doing or what it is that you feel called to be doing, then it becomes a matter of, okay, how do you begin to put yourself in the proximity of those opportunities, of those kinds of relationships? And how do you begin to really utilize all of the incredible resources that you've been given to open the way for this new path and this new sense of purpose and this new opportunity to contribute?
It's gorgeous. I love it. I am curious because one of the things I like to discuss and talk about is this idea that we all have, a treasure box of inner wisdom, of intuition. And I think often, especially in our society where we're so focused on our head and logic, and not that we don't want our minds and heads involved, but there's, to me, this it's a gift that we all have. And as we tune into it, that can change the whole game. And I'm curious, maybe your take on your own intuition and how that's guided you to where you are. I just have this belief when someone is really at the successful and height of who they're meant to be, there's a connection there. And I'm curious about your connection to your intuition.
It's everything, and when people ask me often, the question I get is, okay, what's the first thing you do? If you can't find your purpose or your calling, and I say, get still.
Yes.
Get still. Learning how to listen to our inner wisdom, to our inner voice.
Yeah.
Cultivating a relationship with our inner world is everything.
Yeah.
Because that's where the compass lives. That's where the guidance system is. And I say that because so much of what we've been conditioned to do is look outside of ourselves.
Yeah, totally.
Is look every place else but. And even when our inner wisdom is talking, our inner guidance is speaking, we will step over what we hear.
Oh, yeah.
Right? To go get a second, third, fourth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth opinion.
Yeah.
And then someone tells you something that's way off to the left field and you go do that. And then you don't understand why you get the results you get. And all of it keeps us at the mercy of things that we can't control.
Yeah.
And things that we can't affect. And our definition and our rooting, our grounding in ourselves has got to begin with cultivating this relationship with that inner voice, with that inner wisdom, and having a practice, a consistent daily practice where we are touching that space of stillness, that place of quietude, and where we are cultivating and honing and strengthening our skills to be able to not only listen, but to actually also be able to obey.
Oh, yeah. Well, I feel like it's a two-part. You could hear it. I've done many times in my life. I've actually tracked it, not all of it, but I'm like, oh, isn't that interesting? When I don't listen is when I've had a lot more
Yeah.
issues. Really, I mean, my first marriage, a lot of things that I'm like, oh, interesting. My health. I'm sure you've worked with people too, and it's so powerful. So I love what you said. It's like, now are you going to choose to obey it?
Yeah. The slowing down, because we live in such a culture of busy, there are
Yes.
so many things that
Yeah.
pull for our attention
Yeah.
in any given period of time. And, we all know some days it's hard to even get out the house.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? More or less be out in the world and be fabulous out in the world and doing, like just to get to work
Yeah.
some morning takes every single thing we have, or just to get, if you're staying at home, just to get the kids out the door, you know what I mean? Like whatever those sort
Yeah.
of baseline tasks,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And goals and aims, it can take everything we have
Yeah.
just to get to first base, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and because of the nature of our lives, and because of the quality of the demands, and because of all of the things that pull for our attention, it's all the more reason why
Yeah.
we have to sort of create space,
Yeah.
even if it's in the bathroom with the door closed. You know what I
Totally.
mean?
Oh my God.
Like we have to create space to just have nothing,
Yeah.
nothing, even if it's 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and then begin to grow that practice from there. Because spirit is patient, really beautiful,
Mm,
wise woman once told me, spirit is patient. They will wait,
yeah.
whatever you want to call it, source, voice, wisdom, love, it will wait until
Yeah.
you slow down
Yeah.
to start talking, And so our commitment to being able to slow down and be with ourselves and find that time and space to be with ourselves is crucial, crucial. And for me, it has transformed my life, transformed
Yeah.
my life. There is not a day where I do not spend at least an hour in silence, at least an hour.
Wow. Can you tell us? It's perfect. I was going to ask you because I know, right? You're traveling, you speak a lot, you're on the road, you have your book coming out. Tell us about your practice. That's incredible. An hour is, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
usually thrilled to 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
You-
and it's interesting because it's, again, you build your way up, you work your way up, right? So I didn't
yeah.
start at an hour, but my morning rituals and practices are 2 hours. Like when I can, the normal is 2 hours. When I'm rushed, at least an hour.
Wow.
And it can be broken up during the day. So maybe I just get 15 minutes in the morning, but then somewhere in the middle of the afternoon,
Yeah.
I got to get another 10 or 15 minutes. And then somewhere just before nightfall, often for me, I particularly like the sunset. There's something about the transition
Yeah.
from day to night that feels really powerful and sacred for me. And
Yeah.
that's usually my time to get the third one in. And,
Mm,
and then if I need to, right, before I close my eyes and go to bed, there's that moment of just
beautiful.
settling the day, closing out the day energetically, before I go to sleep. And so those practices of finding those moments are
Yeah.
really, really important because our decision making, and the degree to which that wisdom is available to us can
Yes.
often be a function of how fast or slow we are moving. And so, a lot of us are making big decisions on the fly, or where, we've got a big decision to make and we're nervous because we don't even know where to look
Yeah.
to be able to even evaluate or weigh
Yeah.
what's important to us in the context of a given decision. And so we will put it off, put it off, put it off, put it off, and then get driven to distraction. And then the 11th hour is upon us,
Yeah.
and we make a decision, not even feeling good necessarily in our souls
Right.
about the decision we've made because we haven't given
Yes.
ourselves the time and space to align energetically
Yes.
with what we've chosen, right? So these practices and these ability to come in and get quiet, and this ability to build and cultivate and strengthen and expand your relationship to your own inner voice and your own inner wisdom
Yeah.
gives you a reservoir
Yeah.
for when you do have to make fast decisions, that you know exactly where to go. You know exactly who to listen to and how to get quiet and choose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well said. I'm curious for you, there's so many different kinds of meditations and mindfulness. This is a little more nitty gritty, but are you into TM? Do you listen to a guided? Do you just sit in silence? Is it different every day?
I
What works?
have done it all.
You've done it all. Okay. What do you like?
I've chanted.
Yeah.
I've just paid attention to my breathing. I've
Yeah.
sat in nature. I've gotten in the water and done the divine baths. And I still do. I do it all. And it depends on my
Yep.
season. It depends on what's happening. It also sometimes depends on what my spirit is reacting to most favorably in the moment.
Love it.
Yoga, I do it all. And so, my encouragement to you all is to practice. And
Yeah.
and literally there's a part in the book in the first section where I walk you through how
Mm.
to find your practices,
Yep.
how to develop your practices. And then I also talk about the 3 most important practices you always want to be doing,
Yeah.
And so practice is huge. And so I say that because also sometimes people think, well, I can't meditate. I can't slow my mind down enough to walk.
Yeah.
Go walk in nature, or go
Yeah.
swim, or go run on the treadmill, or there are lots of ways in which we can access and begin to tap into how
Yeah.
to get into that quiet space.
You know what I love that you just said, and I think this is going to give people permission, because I can tell you, as somebody who's tried a lot of different kinds of meditation, there have been moments, of course, it's all judging myself, but where I've said, oh, I just can't stick to one type. I know friends that just sit in silence. And I love what you just said. And I really relate that. And to me, this idea that we have different energies of, you could call it the masculine, the feminine, and the yin, the yang. And to me, it's that receptivity, that listening. And so it just gave me this moment of like, I'm like you. Every day is a little different. I always do meditation or some kind of stillness, but frankly, it depends how I'm feeling or the season. And so when you said that, I'm like, I just feel a lot better about myself. For some reason, that gave me
Mm.
permission. And I'm thinking those listening, like, try different things out. I mean, to be honest, today, I started this morning. I always do Reiki on myself in the morning, first thing. And I didn't meditate before I exercised. And for me, I really need that sitting and the breathing slowly. And I needed a lot more time. And honestly, I just started crying out of nowhere. I have no idea why. But I can tell you it was so cathartic, and to allow myself. So I'm just really, I'm vibing with what you're saying. And I think giving people permission, like, listen, try different things. I love what you said. Go and walk in nature. It doesn't have to be sitting still. You don't have to do it that way.
Yeah. And I mean, for some of us, it's journaling, writing,
Yes.
and again, there's a way that as you give yourself more time,
Yeah.
you'll feel the urges and the tugs to do
Yeah.
different things, and to trust those urges and those tugs so that you can explore and really find what works for you.
Ron, I know you probably touched this in the book. For somebody like myself and others listening that are busy, if you're a mom, entrepreneur, I got to tell you, it took something to take an hour when I was like, I have emails, I have things to do. And I've
Yeah.
learned, because I've learned over time, it's a must. Like, to connect myself to my higher self, to
Yeah.
that source of light. I've learned nothing is going to get done at the level I want it to if I don't do this first. And it's taken time. It's kind of counterculture, I think.
Yeah, it's very counterculture. And I think
Yes.
that's often why we struggle
Yes.
so much with being able to do it, because the cultural messages, what we see, what we hear is the go, 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 go. What we
Yeah.
pay attention to, what we notice, what gets celebrated
Yeah.
in our culture is the go, 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 the drive, 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 the do, do, do.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, and I talk about this with those entrepreneurs who I work with who really have big visions, is that
Yeah.
the bigger the things are that you want to move, actually the stiller
Oh.
you want to be inside.
Okay. We need to put that in a big quote box. I'm going to make sure that is freaking brilliant. That's big. People take
The
that
more
in.
grounded you want to be
Yeah.
in order to move, because the things that you're wanting to move in the world require that level of energy and focus.
Yeah.
And it's actually you're doing less but moving more.
Oh God, that's so well said. And I know what I'm so excited about is your book has all this, The Calling has all this, which is awesome. All right, I am curious because the moment I think this is like a couple years ago, I was like, who is this like divine goddess? And I'm like, oh my God, and her name is with a goddess. Were you named Rha Goddess? Or can you tell us, because your name is like, it just makes me want to have like a chocolate dessert and like, I don't know. I feel like, after you go in the pool and you're just like, like it's a bliss. I feel blissed out just listening to your name.
Good stuff.
Like it's just
Thank you.
the energy is amazing. Did you come up with that or did your parents name you that? Like,
Oh, so the Ra is part of my given name,
okay.
but my journey into my name, and my name is my spirit. This is my spiritual name, and my journey is, I went through an 86-day cleansing fast and vision quest to come into my name,
Oh my God.
and was held by a really phenomenal, incredible healer woman by the name of Queen Afua, and I got the name at the very beginning, but then the whole sort of mandate through this process and the spiritual communication through this process was that I would live into the name,
I love it.
and that it was all about
Yeah.
bringing light and revealing, bringing the brightness of light as well as bringing the heat of light.
Love it.
And it was all about, revealing and helping to show,
Yeah.
and clarify.
Gorgeous. Wow. I just heard an interview that Lady Gaga did with Oprah, and she was talking about
Mm.
living into the name she came up with this name Gaga and who that was and embodying. And it reminds me of just what you're saying, this idea of living into this really, to me, I mean, it's such a beautiful, full, it's a name that when you hear it, you feel like something move the crowd, illuminating. So I'm sort of like, geez, maybe I should do my name. I don't know. It makes me want to, maybe I'll redo my name. I'll let you know. But this
Yes,
real
yes.
86-day fast. Oh my gosh. I cannot even.
Yeah. And I will say that for many of us, and I do want to maybe talk a little bit about this, because sometimes,
Yeah.
you get a little flack
Yeah.
when you choose a sacred name for yourself. Let's just maybe go there for 2 seconds.
Yeah. I mean,
and
I
I
think.
and I do want to say that our right to rename and reclaim,
Mm,
given the nature of our experience,
mm-hmm,
is a God-given right.
mm,
As a God-given right,
beautiful.
you know. And however we choose to do that,
Yeah.
even if for some of us it may be like you've been walking inside of your nickname and now you're going to use your full name,
Yeah.
but as we move along the evolution and growth journey, there is something about the sacredness of that which we want to be called by,
Yeah.
that which we want to be known by, that which we want to be recognized by, that is important. That is important.
Yeah.
And so whether it's just you fall in love again with your name, or
Yeah.
whether it's you choose a different name, or whether it's you choose to really step into and embody your full name, that's also part of the reclamation and part of the reclaiming of voice and power and presence.
Mm. It's really, really, really well said, really powerful. Yeah, I love this. And I can say for those I'm remarried but got divorced, I can tell you the first thing I did, no disrespect, to him, but literally the next morning I was at the Social Security SSA and I'm like, first in line, I'm like, I need my name back. So my name now is my maiden name. And I got married and I was like, I'm not taking your name. I'm going to reclaim my full birth given name. And I've thought about it. I've thought about even, I've had nicknames or names that really mean a lot to me. So you're such a trailblazer. I think it takes a lot of courage and conviction of who you really are and saying, we all have that divine right. And I love how you're just standing in that. It is, especially for women, Rha, like I think
Mm.
just to see, like, bless you, this is needed. And as you said, you might get I would imagine you probably do get some flack. I mean, I thought it was amazing. But it probably brings things up for people who question their own value is probably what happens. We become a mirror.
It can, again, because so much of what we've been taught is that what you accept is what's dictated to you,
Yes. Oh,
as
yeah.
opposed to what you create and
Yep.
what you know in your heart and what comes from your soul and the wisdom of your soul.
Yeah.
And so, again, this opportunity for this next level of empowerment, this next level of self-love and self-acceptance and self-appreciation
Yeah.
comes from our ability to really self-define
Oh, I love
in
that.
whatever way that makes sense to us.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's perfect segue. Before we wrap up, I am curious. I know you have this beautiful book, The Calling, your work around, move the people, and just clearly as a light with your name and heat, light, illumination. What would you say, is both your why and maybe your future vision? Like what do you feel you've come here to do? What do you hope to say at the end? I was able to
Mm.
do this.
All right, so I'm going to hold the book just so you all can see it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um, I was in a recent conversation with someone and they were like, my God, you gave it all. You didn't hold anything back in this book.
Mm,
And what I want you to know, whether you read the book, you don't read the book, or you listen to this and that's the only thing that you do, is that I have a deep, deep love for humanity. And I have always been committed to our mental, spiritual, emotional, and now even financial liberation.
mm,
And the reason I'm committed to it is because I believe that the only way that we're going to get the world that we want to see
yeah.
is if you come and do you and bring you and be you, and because we're in the context of the Youest You,
Yeah. Yep.
right? I just want to, affirm, Julie, that this is everything,
Yeah.
and so much of what we've been taught is that we need to put on something, we need to get something, we need to have something, we need to have approval, we need to have, fill in the blank in order to be enough, in order to deserve success or happiness or fulfillment. And I just want you all to know that it's your birth given right.
Yeah.
And it's really a matter now of, are we willing to claim it?
Mm,
Are we willing to embrace it? Are we willing to own it?
yeah.
Are we willing to accept it? Are we willing to receive it? Because if we are, life gets a lot sweeter quick. Life gets a lot easier faster. If we're willing, life becomes more serendipitous and magical if we're willing to say yes to ourselves. And that's what I want you to know. Again, if you read this book, you don't read this book, if you don't hear another thing or listen to another thing, I want you to know that I love you. I want you to know I'm committed to you. I want you to know that your time and your moment is now. And I want you to know that all you really need to bring is you. And that if you focus your energy and your intention on opportunities that enable you to touch you and find you and discover you and express you more, that is really is what puts you on the road for true success.
Mm. Amen to that. That is so beautifully said. And you said it in the beginning, the time is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
You really, what a gift you are. I think there are people that get to the end, and this is what moves me a lot, is that idea of getting to the end and that haven't accessed, that didn't open the box to see what was inside. And
Yeah.
you're just like, I'm going to help you unwrap your gift and help you unwrap your gift and help. And like
Yeah.
you've really allowed yourself to fully self-express with your gifts. And you're like a beacon of light for others. And I'm really grateful for your time today, Rha. I mean, I said early before we started, I'm like, oh my gosh, you have just such amazing energy. And you can tell that you're in alignment. You live what you're talking about. It's very clear. And I'm with you. I'm with you in everything you said. And I'm just thankful to have your wisdom, and we'll have your information about the book. And just thank you for who you are in this world. We really need you and need what you're doing massively.
It's my joy, my honor, my privilege, you all. Thank you so much. And this is 2020. You all know, new decade, whole lot of energy moving around, being seen, and clarity and vision this year. So, just lean into it. In whatever way you find your calling, lean into it.